In the 4 years I've been working out, I put on 103 pounds natural. And that never would have happened if I'd given up. If I said these meals were too tough to eat, if I couldn't push through the training sessions, or I gave up because I didn't have time. In this video, I'm diving into exactly how I stayed consistent from the start through all the failures and how I stuck with it. If you don't know who I am, my name's George Tressiter, founder of the Incredible Bulk, where we take really skinny guys and turn them into really jacked guys. Let's dive in. All right, actually sticking with it. We're not half-assing it. We're not dipping a toe into the water and pulling it out when things get tough. We are diving straight in, full-assing it, 100%. Let's do it. So this is what we got for the video. I'm going to start by defining the word consistency first, because if we're going to try to operationalize it and use it in our own lives, we should probably know what it means. The 4 leaky buckets of being consistent: beliefs to create and beliefs to crush, to let go of. Inputs versus outcomes. This is where and why everyone gives up right before things get really good. What does consistency look like for you specifically on a bulk? How building muscle is the same as a brick somehow. Why I don't have time is BS and my step-by-step way to get over that. Time management on a bulk for your diet, training, and sleep. So we're gonna get best practices for all 3. And at the end, I'll have a complete action list for you of what you can do now after watching the video, and then what to do after that. And of course, hysterical laughter from you in the audience because I'm funny. One in. All right, let's rock. Quick summary. I was very, very skinny my entire life. I was the weakest, shortest, and smallest kid in every class I was ever in, boy or girl. I played competitive basketball for a decade. I got picked on for being the smallest guy on all my teams. And so I started working out to change that. Then I gained 103 pounds and founded the Incredible Bulk. So here's my transformation really quickly. 15 to 16 on the left, 122 pounds, then got up to 189.2 in about 3 years. And the past 1.5 years have been kind of nuts. I went from 189.2, bulked up to 225. That 216.8 was the closest picture that I had from me at the 225 weight. And then I cut down to 210.8, now currently 214. So you can see my transformation from 16 to 20, awesome. So what is consistency? Before we get it started, we should probably define the word first. And so you'll see lots of people, especially on social media, throw around, words that everyone uses, but almost nobody knows what it means. You'll see like consistency, discipline, persistence. You just gotta be disciplined or consistent, bro. It's like, what does that mean? Here's what it means to me. Consistency to me is the repetition of similar actions over time without quitting. So you're not doing the same actions, you're not eating the same meals every day, you're not doing the same workouts or getting to bed at the exact same time, right? Life changes. And so you're gonna have different events that get in the way, but if those actions are similar enough that they incrementally lead you to your big goal, and you're not giving up between the time you start going for the goal and the time you achieve the goal, you're not giving up any time in between, I would call you consistent. And you're consistent somewhere, I can prove it to you. You might be consistent with drinking, with smoking, with lust, with laziness, with fast food. Hell, you might even be consistent with giving up, right? So the next question is, how do we go from consistency with behaviors that aren't that good to consistency with behaviors that elicit really good results, get you jacked? For me, it started with the way that I saw the world. And so I could start in any hobby I've ever tried to take on that I never really accomplished. I always started doing the right things right away, but it wouldn't matter if I only did them for a week. I personally tried to learn Russian and I stopped after 2 weeks because I just didn't really care that much about the goal and I gave it up to do something else. And so some of you might be treating fitness like this. So how did I start to think better in terms of prioritizing the goal? First, I admitted it was my fault. And so God gave me free will, and everything I've done up until this point at 20 years old was my choice. If I'm not where I want to be in life, I can't blame God. I can't blame my family, my friends, teachers that said I wouldn't amount to anything. I can't blame those people. It's not their fault, it's mine. And so the great thing about this is you're the one who can start doing things differently. If you blame other people, then they're the ones who hold the ability to change you. And so if you struggle to get closer to girls because your mom said that, no one will ever love you, then if you say the reason you can't get closer to girls is because your mom said X, Y, Z, guess who has all the power for you being able to get girls? Your mom, right? And if you try to make that change and you become super confident, you develop all the skills, whatever you need, but you still have your mother's words lingering over you, that's a ceiling that you can't break because you've given her the power to create that ceiling over you. So that's a pretty crappy way to live, in my opinion. And I admitted as soon as I started pretty much that I was skinny, weak, not confident in the way I looked or felt because of me. And so I looked at the who was around me at this time, who was I making this change for? Fortunately, I was always doing this for me. I wasn't doing it to impress a girl, wasn't trying to get jacked to get back at a bully. I always wanted this goal for myself. But if that's not you, if you actually have someone in your life that you think about a lot when it comes to this goal, look around. Who is that actual person that's on your mind? Is it your dad? Is it an ex-partner in a relationship? Is it a specific friend? Is it a group of friends? Maybe it's more than one person. This is a great question to ask yourself. Who do you think of making proud or upset when times get hard? When you have to sacrifice whatever to get to bed on time, when you have to power through a meal that you don't want to eat, or you have to push through a training session that feels really hard, and you could be on the couch watching Netflix, chilling out, but you're at the gym, you're pushing yourself. When times get really hard and you feel like giving up, who's the person that crosses your mind that you're trying to make really happy, or you're trying to make them upset or make them feel bad for doubting you? It's a person, it's a specific person, and I know that. It's not society. You're not doing this because society says this, or the government, or your buddies. It's one or two people that actually bother you. So say their names out loud. Wherever you are, yell, John. You don't actually yell the word John. Yell whoever's name is bothering you. Kind of weird if you're just randomly yelling John. You'll find that once you say their name out loud, you realize, does John really have more power over my life than me? It would seem so. And being angry at someone or the world can be great to start. If you're trying to get revenge or try to make somebody feel bad, try to impress somebody, being upset can be very potent fuel if you're starting out, which is cool. But if that's the only reason that you stick with it when times get hard, if you're on the verge of giving up and the only source of strength you can find is because you want to make somebody feel bad, you're going to hate yourself like really, really badly. And if you're going after a big goal, if you're doing something hard like getting jacked, right, takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of time, takes consistency. Hating yourself makes it way harder. Contrary to what most people believe, there's no benefit to being some cold, distant, emotionless being. So I'm going to touch on this real quick. There is zero benefit to being the guy who's like mysterious and like dark, and there's no way that makes you a better lifter, it makes you get better gains than someone who just does the same things that guy does, but isn't, a weirdo about it. And so if you're eating your meals, training hard, and getting to bed on time every single day, it doesn't matter if you're happy, sad, mad, depressed, angry at the world, heartbroken, if you want to jump off a bridge, it doesn't matter, right? If you are doing those three core things, you can feel any way you want. And so there is no benefit hierarchy to being someone who hates the world. In fact, if you're someone who hates like the world and you're really dark and you're trying to act like you're insane, that probably causes more stress, elevates your cortisol level, and therefore breaks down muscles. So you're probably getting less gains being, this sad, mad, dark, super weirdo guy. And so you don't have to be super distant from the world or emotionless or cold to make gains. If you just do the basic things that we're going to talk about in this video, you will make gains and you don't have to be like depressed. And I would know because I lived this life for 2.5 years. And I'm telling you, there is no upside to being that weirdo guy. So I hope that benefits someone or at least stops you from going down that path. And so just love the work every day, even when it sucks, because it's going to suck. You're going to have to eat when you don't want to. You'll have to forego lots of fun things to do the one thing that matters most. And that's okay. If you really care about getting better, if you really care about making progress, you'll survive missing out on some things sometimes. So look at who's bothering you. If it is a person, say their name out loud and then decide what you want. And if it's not a person and you're like me and you're kind of doing this for yourself, cool, you're in the clear. But this is just for those people that are struggling with that. Just like that, we've patched one of the 4 leaky buckets of consistency. See, you couldn't even tell. So we've got our first bucket down, beliefs. Now we got 3 to go. Let's do this one next. People. These are the 3 questions that I kind of categorize the people bucket into. Who are you around? What do you do when you're around them? And how do you respond in different circumstances? So let's break it down. The person who is bothering you, if it is a person, are they family? Is it a friend? Is it a partner, ex-partner? Does that person do at least one of the following? Did they straight up tell you that you won't achieve this goal? They say you will not get jacked. It's not for you. This isn't a goal that's meant for you at all. Or do they insinuate? Do they hint that you're not good enough for this goal? Maybe they say you're not Arnold Schwarzenegger, or if you're trying to learn guitar, you're not Eddie Van Halen. They try to say you're not this person, therefore this goal probably isn't for you. Or do they tease you? Do they try to make you feel bad for not giving them the attention and time they think they earned? And so if you skip out on a family event, if you miss out hanging out with friends for a day, do they try to make you feel bad for it? They say, oh, you've changed, you're not who you used to be, you're not cool anymore, you're not one of the boys, right? Or do they say they support you, they tell that to your face, but then when things aren't going perfectly, when things are going rough, they give you attitude, they get pissy with you, and they get impatient. I've had all 4 of these people individually in my life, and some of them even carry 2 or more of those traits. Sucks, especially when those people are, quote, close to you. The best solution I've found is, surprisingly, talk to them one-on-one. No one else around, just you and that person specifically. And if it's multiple people bothering you, then talk to each of them one-on-one. Don't talk to them as a group, because it's going to be pretty tough to take on multiple people at once. And don't be a dick. Don't be a douche. Ask them calmly why they believe that, why they say you can't achieve this goal, why this isn't meant for you, why they get pissy, give you attitude when things aren't going well, or why they try to make you feel bad when you miss out on events. And be curious, ask them, I say childlike curiosity, ask them like you would a kid. Kids ask a lot of why questions. Why are things the way they are? And it might seem obvious to you, but to them, they don't know any better, right? So ask them with that same curiosity, ask them why they think that. Actually try to know their answer. You should want to know why. Most of the time, they will say it's because they are nervous that you will fail. You will fail. That's the point. If you're going for a big goal, the most likely outcome is failure. And that's why most people quit. They can't handle the idea of failing again and again and again. And I couldn't when I first started either. And so real quick, most people are very cynical. They're focused on the impossibility of a big goal, and they always try to tear people down who are going for a goal themselves. And the reason that they're like this is because they've bet correctly. They've been right about almost every single person who has gone for a big goal, failed, and then given up. And so when those kind of people say, you're not going to make it, this isn't meant for you, etc., they're right almost every single time, because most people aren't consistent. Most people don't stick with things, and therefore most people don't get what they actually want, which is the big goal. If you're going for a big goal, like I said, the most likely outcome is failure. It is, you're not going to get it right the first time. You are going to mess up. You're going to make mistakes. And they know that. So why are you surprised when they bet against you yet again? They've done it for the past 100,000 other guys. Why are you surprised that they're doing it to you, right? But the reality is, cynics, these type of people who have these beliefs, they think being right makes them smart. But in reality, their rightness, the fact, the crown that they put on their head for always being correct, it crushes the chance of them ever making it big themselves, because they carry that same belief with everything they do. And so if you're trying to get jacked, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes stress. You're going to be stressed out sometimes. Those are 3 things that those cynics, those types of people, they can't handle. And so they're going to cast their beliefs onto you saying you can't do it. And it's really hard when it's coming from a parent or a friend or someone that's close to you, someone that you've taken advice from all your life. It's really hard that those words are coming from those people, because a lot of times they have been right about the advice that they've given you. I promise they're not right about this one. And so the best thing you can do if you're looking for someone to listen to, don't listen to the people around you, listen to the people who have achieved what you wanted to achieve. And that can be someone on social media, that could be a friend of a friend, that could be me. I'd be very honored if that was me. But listen to people who have done the thing that you want to do, and listen to what they say, what they've had to go through, and how they got over it. And so don't mistake their insecurities for your limit. Don't say, you know what, they're right, I can't get over this level. Screw that. And so they might say all the stuff, or they might just say something straight up mean. They might insult you, they might insult your character. They'll tell you that you're just straight up not good enough and you're fundamentally a loser. That's perfectly fine. Most times they don't say this to hurt you. They say it because they've never actually seen someone go for it. So we talked about the cynics, the people who have bet correctly on the guys who've given up. Some people have just never seen other people succeed. And so it's unfamiliar to them. It's not their fault for thinking that way. This is just something they've never seen. And so this discussion between you two, this conversation, this one-on-one talk I was mentioning, you'll find their answer pretty quickly. It's not going to take you very long. Once this talk is over and they still treat you poorly, so you give them a shot to change their ways, and they still treat you like crap, they still insult you, cut them immediately. If somebody shows you who they really are, if they show you your character, believe them the first time. It blows my mind as to how many people keep those crappy friends, the family members around, even though they treat them, not that well. Just let them go. If they think this is a good indication as to when to cut somebody out, if they think you can do less than what you think you can do, you're going to leave them behind anyways. Because if you think you're going for the moon and they think you're not even getting off the ground, then if you're going for the moon and you know that, then you're just going to leave them anyways. So why not just move on right now and start winning faster? To quote Robert Greene, great author, the unfortunate sometimes draw misfortune on themselves. They will also draw it on you. And so the drowning man, there's always going to be someone in your life, someone that you know personally, maybe not now, but you might meet them one day. You're going to find somebody who seems to have really crappy luck, and they seem to be always unfortunate. Something bad, quote, happens to them. But a lot of times they do it to themselves. They cause the problem. And so if you keep trying to pull the drowning man out of the water, sometimes those people just always drown, and you don't want to drown with them trying to save a drowning man that you know is going to drown, right? Let the crappy people go. And so if you backstep on what you're working on to appeal to others, if you're hanging out with old friends, family, and they kind of tease you about the goal and they say, oh, you're eating so much food. It's like, oh, you're missing out. You're too cool for us now. You're not going to hang out with the boys anymore. And you just play it off like, oh, I'm just kind of dipping my toe into this whole fitness thing. It's not that deep. I'm just kind of trying it out, see how it goes. And if it takes off, great. You actually don't believe in what you're doing. And that actually sucks because it's a micro rebellion against everything you're doing to try to achieve this goal. And you play it off like it's not that big of a deal. It kind of makes you look like a pushover, a bit of a loser. And the best solution I've found is give myself proof. If I lie and I say I'm consistent with my meals, I train hard and I don't give up, and that's not true, I'm none of those things. Like I said, it's a small but very real, very realistic rebellion against what I'm trying to achieve. And it feels really crappy. So I do the things that I know lead to more progress in fitness and in life. And it's only 3 things. I kind of spoiled them earlier, but I'm going to say them again. Eat all of your meals, train hard, and get to bed on time. Those are the 3 fundamental things that lead to more gains. Anyone who's trying to tell you you need some crazy routine, or you need some iron mindset, or you need to buy my supplement for $79, use discount, whatever, XYZ for 10% off. Anyone who's trying to tell you that you need that to make gains is trying to sell you something. Run the other way. It could either be a product or they want your views for social media. Doesn't matter. If you do these 3 things every day for years, you will see stupid, unrealistic steroids, people accusing you of steroids, looking results. And just like that, 2 buckets down. Belief in people, we got 2 to go. So now that we know what we need to do, eat all our meals, train hard, and get to bed on time, how do we do it every day for a long time, right? We need to do this for years. Let's look at why most people, you and me included, have failed to be consistent in the past. And this isn't just with the gym, this is with anything in life. If you look at the big goal, quote, getting jacked in this case, you want to get big, you want to get strong, you want to get muscular, whatever, that is years away. You're not going to have that by tomorrow. And so people give too small of a time frame, a time horizon for a big goal. And so they want to say, I want to achieve this big goal in 3 days. It's like, not going to happen. If you had to learn Spanish by tomorrow, that is mission impossible. It doesn't matter how fluent you are in every language in the world, you are not learning Spanish from level 0 in 1 day. But if I gave you 5 years and I said, hey, learn Spanish, you could probably learn 5 languages in 5 years, right? So different timelines allow for different accomplishments of different goals. And so the smaller the goal is, the faster you can accomplish it. But a big goal, for example, learning Spanish, takes time. So it's not that the goal is too far away. It's that we as human beings measure progress in days. What I've found as my North Star for this is the inputs. What do I mean? The inputs are the actions that you make, in this case for fitness, daily, to drive you closer to a specific outcome. The inputs for a drunk driving accident, for example, is drinking lots of alcohol and then getting in a car and driving it, right? Now, without those 2 things, you won't cause a drunk driving accident. Maybe someone might cause one on you. That's kind of hard to avoid, but you know that if you don't drink a ton of alcohol and you don't get behind the wheel, you probably won't cause a drunk driving accident or get in a DUI, etc. So if you don't eat your meals, train hard, or get to bed on time, most days, you will not cause muscle growth. It doesn't matter what you do, it's not going to happen. Most people can do these things for a week or a month. I remember with my first clients for the Incredible Bulk, they were really consistent, just dialed in with their meals, their friggin' training, getting to bed on time every single day. They've been awesome. And then after the month 1 to month 2 kind of period, they kind of descend. And so we have to find ways to be consistent because this isn't, a week or month long process. You have to ask yourself, can I be consistent for, 5 years at a time? This is where it gets tough. And here's what I found that actually works, not some, theory. I've actually put this into practice myself and with them. Make the inputs the goal, not getting jacked. When you make this switch, you not only get to achieve your goals every day, which is fun, but the getting jacked, the big goal, happens as a byproduct of your inputs over time. And so it happens on its own. It's not getting jacked. It's not something you force. And I heard the quote, be patient with your outcomes, but impatient with your inputs. To me, this is true. You want to get the inputs done with urgency every day. You want to fight to eat all of your meals, train hard, get to bed on time. That should be a big focus for you every single day. But the getting jacked, getting strong, building a lot of muscle, 20-inch arms, whatever, that's years away. It doesn't matter. We're not worried about that right now. That's going to happen eventually if I do all of this stuff. So focus on the inputs. And so if you look at your inputs like a brick, you're eating your meals, training hard, and getting to bed on time. These 3 bricks complete one big brick. And so if you're making a bridge of bricks to go from where you are to jack to you, the end big result, you have to walk this bridge. And so, like I said, with the definition of consistency, I like the repetition of similar actions over time because, the meals aren't going to be the same every day, not the same workouts, not the same bedtime, etc. But you'll find that you have to do these 3 core fundamental things every single day for years to get the result. And so you'll walk this bridge every single day, be consistent. But one day you decide not to eat your meals. You decide, I don't feel like eating this. I'm going to eat my 3 meals instead of my 4, or, I'm going to skip on the extra 800 calories at the end of the day. I don't feel like eating it. And so what happens is you fall in a little bit of a pit. You go forward, you go backward, you're stuck. And so what you need is to eat the meals to get above that pit that you're in. Or another scenario, you walk the bridge and something bad happens in your life and you're like, I don't want to eat my meals anymore. This thing is stressing me out. My girlfriend broke up with me, whatever happened. I also don't feel like training hard. And so I'm not eating my meals. I'm not training that hard. And, I feel like just watching Netflix instead of going to bed. I don't feel like getting to bed on time. And then just like that, you fall off the bridge, or through the bridge, should I say, into the giving up realm where everybody is. You can either stagnate, like you saw, get stuck on the bridge. You can either give up or you can keep going. All 3 serve their individual purpose, but only one gets you jacked. And so these actions aren't complex. I'm not asking you to learn, quantum physics or whatever, engineering. Like, this isn't a complex subject. They're very simple. And so you do understand these, but they take so much time. You don't have the time and the energy. I thought the same thing for 3.5 years. Mind you, I've only been training for 4.5 years. So this is the majority of my training career. I thought the same thing for a while. Here's how I got over that for my diet, sleep, and training. Let's start with food. So every single night, I personally sit down for 30 seconds with a pen and a piece of paper, and I write down exactly when I plan to eat tomorrow's meals. So you can look at it from the next day, I'm going to eat at 7 a.m., 12 p.m., 3 p.m., 5 p.m., and 9 p.m., let's just say. And so I write out the actual times on a piece of paper. When tomorrow comes, I eat those meals at those times, and I barely, if ever, make any exceptions, and I try to limit all the distractions during those times so that I can eat. And so you'll find is that when you eat at those times specifically and you don't let anything else get in the way, you get all your meals down pretty easily. That means I don't have big, serious conversations. I don't have, life-changing moments. I don't watch entire movies or spend lots of time scrolling around on social media. When that time comes for me to eat, I eat. And so a good indication of this is if doing something else while you're eating will make eating take longer, don't do it. Another thing I do is meal prep every Sunday. So I find a 2 to 3 hour block where I'm completely uninterrupted and I just cook. And I already have a video on the channel on how to meal prep. It's super low production quality, but it gets the point across and it shows you exactly how I do my meal prep. And so, yeah, if you can find a block throughout the week where you're completely uninterrupted, no big tasks to do, and you can just cook, it'll be a lot easier. Next, here's what I do to be consistent with my sleep. So I have a checklist of everything that I do, and I've broken it up into chunks that you're about to see. My goal for you is just to try one of the things, many things that you see on this checklist. And so you don't have to take on, all 50 at once, because if you try to take on all 50, none of them are going to work. And so just try one. If it works, you get better sleep, keep doing it. If not, pick a new thing from the checklist. All of these things worked for me. I didn't add stuff that I didn't do personally. So these are all things that I thought or said to myself or others about my sleep. So if I don't get X hours of sleep, then I'll have a bad day tomorrow. I'll watch this last video or movie on Netflix and then I'll go to bed. I need to XYZ before I go to bed, otherwise I can't sleep. So if you struggle with a nighttime routine, I can't sleep if it's too whatever in my room. I'm gonna be so tired tomorrow, telling yourself that tomorrow's not gonna be a good day. And finally saying, it's fine, I'll catch up on sleep this weekend. My new beliefs that I created. First, I don't need X amount of hours of sleep to have a productive day. I can go off any sleep. That video, movie on Netflix will still be there tomorrow. I can sleep anywhere in any room. Even if I don't fall asleep, I can get most of the benefits by just closing my eyes and relaxing. That is true, by the way. If I miss my nighttime routine, I'll be a-okay. And the weekends aren't for slacking off. To me, days are days. So I don't get, no or crap sleep throughout the week and then sleep in till like noon on weekends. That's BS. Every single day you're alive, that is a day that you can get good sleep. Next, the actions I took. These are things that help me get better sleep, things I did to myself, my body, that actually worked. First, the most important, work as hard as you possibly can during the day. If I'm working as hard as I can on a goal, then I probably won't have much energy at night, and so I'll be able to fall asleep pretty quick. Works very well. Along with that, stop trying to take on new tasks at night. I typically stop working 30 minutes before I go to sleep. Next, I set an alarm to go to bed, not one to wake up, because if you set an alarm to go to bed, you can control that, but sometimes you'll need to sleep in or sleep less. And so an alarm to wake you up disrupts your sleep cycle. If you just set an alarm to go to bed and abide by that, then you can be in bed on good times. You can go to bed at 10 p.m. and wake up at 6 a.m. and be okay. For the night peers, me, I used to pee a lot during the night in my bed, my pants, all of it. Take a pinch of salt with a sugar-free sports drink. So you could have like a Powerade Zero, Gatorade Zero. A little bit of salt prevents you from peeing at night. Works really well. Magnesium, ashwagandha, melatonin if I really need to fall asleep quickly. These are supplements I take that work. A cup of warm chamomile tea also helps me fall asleep. This has been a game changer. Noise canceling headphones or earplugs, absolutely life-changing. I have dogs running up upstairs. They're very loud, especially when they jump down from furniture onto the ground. It's right above my head. And so it sounds like a gunshot. So I have gunshot headphones to prevent that kind of noise. I limit caffeine intake past 7 p.m. Doing something that is boring sometimes. Cuddling up with a sheets or partner. I don't have a partner, but I do have sheets, so that works. Hot shower before bed. I always blow my nose before I get into bed. I personally never track my sleep because I don't want to think about it. I just go to sleep. And finally, I keep the last meal 15% to 20% of my total calorie intake. So a good principle that I have is the later the time in the day, the smaller the meal, generally speaking. Reminder, just try one thing, not all, one. Finally, for the gym, for training, I train high intensity, low volume, so my workouts are short and I only train 3 days a week. But when I first started, I trained with very high volume, 6 days a week, lots of sets. And so if you're new to lifting, I'd say go high volume because you'll need the extra sets to practice getting better at working out. So I just made a video breaking down high volume and high intensity and which one I think is better for your current stage in fitness. And so in short, if you are a newer lifter, I'd probably go high volume because you need to build the skill of working out. To me, working out is a skill and you need to treat it like an athlete would by starting out with a lot of volume, a lot of reps, a lot of sets to build that skill so that one day you can focus on more quality reps, more quality sets, and you won't need as many sets. So I have a full video breaking that down to its bare bones on the channel if you want to check that out. It's up there. And you'll notice that I didn't talk about training, its specifics as much as the sleep and diet. That's because working out is usually the easiest part of fitness. Being able to say no so that you can eat your meals and get to bed on time. That's the tough part. No to going out sometimes. No to some junk food. No to flashy opportunities for years. Now, I'm not saying you have to live like a robot, but you're going to have to say no to certain things in order to stay consistent. And that's okay. If you can nail your meals, sleep, and training, the gains always follow. Like I said, it doesn't matter if you're sad, mad, upset with the world trying to get back at somebody, or you're, a positive Polly. You're always super happy and upbeat. If you do or don't do these things, your results will reflect that. When you start skipping out on your bricks, your results are going to reflect that, like I said. So if you start skipping meals, not training as hard, not getting to bed on time, you're not going to be able to achieve as much as you thought. And when you give up, you lose. So here's exactly what you can do right now after watching this video and what you can do after that when the first step's done. Step 1, ask yourself these questions. Did I eat all of my meals today? If I worked out, did I train hard? And what is the one thing that I'll do tonight to get to bed on time? Step 2, answer the questions. Hopefully the answers are yes, yes, and one of the things from the checklist. When tonight comes, do that one thing for your sleep. Step 3, optional, but plan your meals for tomorrow. This is what I do, helps me a ton. I wouldn't have it in the video if I didn't think it worked. Plan out the meals. I'm not writing out some super intricate plan or like what each meal is going to consist of, how many grams of protein. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the times I write them at. Pretty simple. Step 4, wake up the next day with your meals planned out and eat the meals at those times. Step 5, did the one sleep thing work? When you wake up the next day, did you feel well rested? Did you get to bed early the night before? If yes, keep doing that one thing. Maybe add another thing. Maybe you can do 2 things from the checklist and get even better sleep. If not, pick a new thing from the checklist or just don't do it altogether. Final step, step 6, make those actions your goal. I answer these questions every day. Did I eat my meals? Did I train hard? Did I get to bed on time? Not did I get jacked today, or did I bench 225, or do I weigh 200 pounds yet? That's too far away. It's not happening today, tomorrow, or next week. Focus on what you do today, and those big goals that you're going for, they will come. If you did all that, good job. That is one day. Now you're gonna do it again. You may find this stuff exciting. You might be super motivated, super upbeat, super driven to see these results. But eventually you're not going to be driven. It will just be part of the routine. And so if you look at my clients when I first started, they were super upbeat, they were super driven in month 1 and 2, but then they saw a steady decline. And so we had to develop that consistency across the board so that they're going up over time. There is a period of time when you start where you are doing all of the right things, but you have no results. This is the start of every pursuit anyone's ever gone after in the history of the world. If I'm playing guitar, for example, I'm not going to be, Eddie Van Halen or some crazy guitarist on day 1. And so I might be doing all the right things, all the right drills, all the right practices, but I don't have the results. That's the hardest part, the beginning, when you don't have any of the gains to back up what you're doing, to prove that you're eating all the right food, you're training hard, you're getting to bed on time, all the stuff. You don't have any of the proof. And that's the toughest part. Once that starting enthusiasm ends, that is when you're tested. And once you see that decline happening, that's when you're tested for consistency. It's not week 1, month 2. It's when you start to feel the thing dropping off, that's when your willpower is on the line. And an absolute coincidence, that's when most people fail. That's when they give up. That's when they stop trying. If you don't want what they have, if you do not want their results, do not copy what they do. And so if you see people around you giving up on fitness, on business, on whatever goal they're going after because things get hard, just because that's your friends, that's your family, doesn't mean you have to do the same things as they do. I absolutely promise you that you will be discouraged at some point in your journey. You're gonna feel like you wanna give up. You're gonna have to power through meals when you don't feel like it. You might have to eat back-to-back meals, which sucks. You eat a ton of food and then you have to eat again because your time management was crappy that day. You're gonna have to power through a training session that you don't feel like doing. You're gonna have to forego, social events with family, friends, things that you'd wanna do in the moment to get to bed on time. These are sacrifices you're going to have to make at some point in your journey. But if you're incrementally getting closer to where you wanna go and you're not giving up between the time that you decide to start going for the goal and the time you actually achieve it, the big goal, you're not giving up in the time between that, that's consistency. And it doesn't have to be, some linear progression all the way through. It might feel like you're at the peak of the mountain one day and then the bottom of the valley the next. But what happens is, if you look at it from a long enough time horizon, like I said, if you're trying to learn Spanish in a day, pretty much impossible. If you're trying to get jacked in a 5-year time span, that big rise, then drop, big rise, then drop, it's gonna feel like moguls, like it's gonna feel like a tiny little hill, but you're incrementally getting better. So you'll experience those little bumps in the road, but if you're slowly going up, that is consistency. You're not gonna feel like you're consistent every step of the way. The whole point of this is that you won't feel like you have the trait. You won't feel like you're patient. You won't feel that you're consistent. You'll feel like you're slacking off. But in reality, if you're doing those 3 core things every single day, I promise you, over time, those results will come. And you'll want so bad to give up at times, but just don't. All of this stuff that you do, these actions that you take, eventually they become part of your day, like showering or brushing your teeth. I remember when I was first getting into lifting, I'd write my to-do list for the next day, and I'd write down, eat your meals, or train hard, or do these things to get to bed on time. Eventually, as I got better at the skill, I stopped writing those things down on my to-do list because it was just part of my day. It was just natural. If I didn't do that, my day wasn't complete until I did that. And a great final indicator of this is once you feel that giving up is harder than trying, you are well on your way to making better gains. If you can sit there in the tough, crappy moment and say, if I give up right now, I will feel even crappier than I do right now if I'm trying, you will make better gains and you will set yourself up for a better life, because this applies in every domain, not just fitness. And just like that, all 4 leaky buckets have been patched: beliefs, people, actions, and time. And so the next steps are: create the beliefs that build you up, crush the beliefs that tear you down, complete the inputs, eat your meals, train hard, get to bed on time, add the people to your life that help you, remove the people that don't. Remember, have that conversation with them one-on-one. If they still don't want to change their ways, they still want to trash you, they still want to make you feel bad, cut them. Keep doing the inputs, then give it time. That's exactly how I did it, step by step, and it worked pretty good for me, and that's how I do it with my clients who are also struggling with consistency. To conclude this video, decide what is important to you. Decide if this goal actually matters to you, or if you just say you're doing it to make yourself feel good and make yourself stand out amongst other people. Next, decide who's stopping you. Personally, I actually said their names out loud so that I could see this person is actually taking more control of my life better than I am. That's kind of sad. Next, I have this bolded because it's the most important point of the entire video. Inputs are the goal. If you try to make getting jacked your goal and you focus on that every day, that is light years away. You will not achieve that, and you don't have anything to reinforce your actions in between when you start and when you achieve. And so if you look at eat your meals, train hard, get to bed on time every single day, I keep saying it because it's so important. Achieve your goals every day. That's fun. You get to win every single day, and then getting jacked will happen as a byproduct. Never quit. Fist bump. Guys, you'll notice from my personal experience and passion when I'm talking about this is not theory. It's not conceptual, formulas that you put into practice and it might work, it might not work. We're not really sure. It's not theoretical. This is exactly step by step what I did to go from being super skinny, having no self-belief in myself, to having some level of confidence of someone who can make it in the world. And so I really hope that this video at the end of the day relates to you. If you look at this video and you say, I'm not someone who has a lot of self-belief, I try not to take too much space when I'm around other people. I don't think I'm really meant for this kind of stuff. I get it. I was exactly there. And I know how it feels. I know how it feels to not have a lot of belief in yourself, and it sucks. And this is exactly what I did to change it around. So I hope that this video, if nothing else, gets you to take action. It gets you to start, or if you're struggling being consistent, you've already started, it gets you to keep going, because you can plan, you can envision, you can, whatever, manifest, that's the word they use. You can manifest your way to success and have all these, cool visions of like these plans that you're going to do. If you don't start, all of that means, I'll swear, jack shit. It doesn't matter. So don't worry about the plans being perfect. The last thing you want is to look back 6 months, a year from now and say, shoot, I'm in the exact same position. And if I just started back then, I could have been miles ahead of where I am right now. So just start today. And like I said, if you're someone who's struggling, I hope this video shows you where you are in the consistency process. If you're, struggling with the beliefs, if you're struggling with the people, cutting them, removing them from your life. If you don't know what actions to take from day to day, if you're struggling with your patience with time, all of these things can be broken down. And I hope you can see where you are in that cycle. And then you can see where to go from there. What's the next step I can take? And so I have nothing else to say. Guys, I've been George Tressiter. I still am George Tressiter, founder of The Incredible Bulk. I was really skinny and wildly insecure when I was growing up, and this helped me change that. And so I'm hoping to do that for guys like me. Being consistent isn't fun. It's not sexy. It's not flashy. It's repetition of the same or similar actions over time without giving up. And so if you're struggling being consistent or you're struggling to start, just take this as your lead first indicator. If you don't give up, you cannot lose. It doesn't matter how miserable you are, how you feel about starting, how you feel in the moment. Maybe I should backtrack, maybe I should give up and go back to my old life. If you know now that going back to that old life will make you more miserable than you feel right now, keep pushing. And so it's not that you have to be happy, you have to be sad, you have to be super dark and mysterious to make progress. Just do the actions every single day. Don't give up, and you will see results. And so if you make those 3 actions your goal, I'm going to say it one more time, eat your meals, train hard, get to bed on time, every single day, those results will come. I promise you, I will bet my life on it that those results will come. Guys, I got nothing else to say. I know I already said that earlier, but yeah, I hope you have a great day. I hope this video helped you take action, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace. Bye.